Hey, boxing fans! Today we're diving into the incredible life of Mike Tyson, a man who went from being the most feared boxer in the world to reinventing himself in ways no one could have predicted. Most of us know Tyson as the baddest man on the planet, but there's so much more to his story. From his rise to fame as the youngest heavyweight champion ever to his battles with addiction, prison, and personal loss, Mike Tyson's journey is anything but ordinary. But here's a twist. Mike Tyson has transformed into a man that many people can relate to today, and not just because of his boxing career. Want to learn more about his journey and how he went from the baddest man on the planet to a father and role model? Stick around as we dive deep into Mike Tyson's story only here on Sports Frenzy TV. Mike Tyson grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in New York, Brownsville, Brooklyn. And when I say tough, I mean it. It was a place where crime, drugs, and poverty were part of everyday life. Mike didn't have an easy start. He didn't grow up in a typical family with a dad around to show him the ropes. Instead, he was just his mom and a revolving door of boyfriends. And let's just say not all of them were role models. As a young kid, Mike was always getting into trouble. He wasn't the kid who went to church or followed the rules. Instead, he was the one stealing from stores and getting into street fights. In fact, Mike's mother knew he was stealing, but what could she do? That's the kind of environment he was in. At one point, Mike ended up in a juvenile detention center. But you know what? That was probably the first place he ever felt like he had some kind of respect. He wasn't scared anymore. He had his neighborhood friends around him. But that didn't change the fact that Mike was just scared. Chubby kid on the inside, trying to figure out how to survive. So, how did a kid from the streets end up becoming the youngest heavyweight champion in history? Well, that's where boxing comes in. One of the things Mike was really into growing up was pigeons. Sounds random, right? But pigeons helped him escape the chaos of his neighborhood. He'd climb up on rooftops and care for his pigeons, which kept him away from the crime around him. That's when he got into a fight with a bigger kid over one of his pigeons. And guess what? Mike won. He didn't know much about fighting yet, but this fight sparked something in him. And that's when boxing found him. Mike's path to boxing wasn't exactly smooth though. He got into trouble and ended up in a juvenile detention center where he met Bobby Stewart, a former fighter who saw something in Mike. Stewart introduced Mike to Cus D'Amato, a legendary trainer who would change his life forever. Cus wasn't just about teaching Mike how to punch. He became a father figure to him. Cus saw potential in Mike like no one else did. He believed that Mike could become not just a good fighter, but the best. Fast forward a few years and Mike Tyson was well on his way to becoming the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. He was 20 when he won the title, and at the time, no one could stop him. Tyson was a force. He knocked out his opponent so fast that people couldn't believe what they were seeing. His fights were the highlight of boxing, and his rise to fame was rapid. But with fame came trouble. Mike was introduced to Don King, a promoter known for his flashy personality and big business deals. Mike's relationship with Don King, however, was complicated. Tyson was making millions, but his personal life was spiraling. There were constant distractions, women, drugs, and the pressure of being the most famous boxer in the world. And let's not forget about Tyson's biggest battle at the time, himself. Despite being a champion in the ring, he was battling with his own demons. The fame, the pressure, and the distractions made it hard for him to stay focused. But all that didn't matter when he stepped into the ring. There, he was untouchable. But even the strongest champions have their struggles. Mike Tyson's fall from grace wasn't just about losing fights. It was about losing control over his life. His personal life became a mess. First, there was his marriage to actress Robin Givens, which was anything but peaceful. The media loved to tear apart Tyson's personal life, and it didn't help that Mike's mental state was starting to crack. Then came the legal troubles. In 1992, Tyson was convicted of rape and sentenced to prison. For a man who had everything, prison felt like the end of the world. It wasn't just the loss of his title, it was the loss of everything he had worked for. Prison didn't break Tyson, but it did change him. He spent his time reflecting on his past and, more importantly, on the person he had become. He had always been a tough guy, but prison forced him to face the reality of his actions. He wasn't just a fighter in the ring anymore. He had to fight for his life and his future. When Mike Tyson finally got out of prison, he tried to make a comeback. But the man who left the ring wasn't the same man who stepped back in. His first big fight was against Evander Holyfield. Everyone thought it would be just another win for Tyson, but it turned out to be one of the most infamous moments in boxing history. In the middle of the fight, Tyson bit Holyfield's ear. It was a desperate act, a moment when everything seemed to fall apart for him. The mental and emotional strain Tyson had been under was too much, and the pressure finally got to him. This was the turning point. Tyson lost his belt, and his reputation was never quite the same after that. But what happened next might surprise you. After the Holyfield incident, Tyson took time away from boxing to reflect. The years that followed were full of ups and downs. But one thing became clear. Tyson was trying to figure out how to live life beyond the ring. In his later years, Tyson reinvented himself in a way that no one could have predicted. He started appearing in movies. Yes, movies. Most famously, he had a hilarious role in The Hangover, which showed a side of him that no one expected. The funny, laid-back Mike Tyson. This wasn't just some random cameo. It marked the beginning of Tyson's transformation from the feared heavyweight champ to a more relatable human figure. But it wasn't just acting that helped Tyson. He also spent a lot of time focusing on his family, especially his kids. After going through so much pain and loss, Mike Tyson found peace in fatherhood. And let's be real, his kids probably got the best version of him. Tyson wasn't the wild, unpredictable fighter anymore. He was a father who was trying to get it right, who wanted to do things differently. Mike Tyson's journey has been a roller coaster, from his rise to fame to his fall and eventual comeback. But the most remarkable part isn't just his boxing career, it's his personal transformation. Today, Tyson is a changed man. No longer known for his violent past, he's focused on his family and finding peace in what truly matters. His story shows that it's never too late to change and grow. Thanks for watching and learning about Mike Tyson's incredible journey. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this.